I remember having like family asking me like, why are you making this? Why are you doing this? And it was like, well, I haven't like dealt with something as heavy as this. And there's a part of me that's like, art is meant to push boundaries and like just explore ideas and themes and whatnot. So that's what I decided to do.
Levi, you might be the most famous person I've
It's
ever met.
Craig.
I had so many people reach out to me asking like if it's real.
Let me kick it back. 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 Hey boy, right there, what you?
There we go. All right. Welcome everybody to episode 51 of Fair the Burn. I'm your host, Chandler Fair. I'm here today with a special guest, man. But before we get into that, I just want to give a big shout out real quick to our sponsors, Darian Orvin, down in Empower Fitness in Bountiful and Centerville, Utah. I know they're running some free boxing classes on Saturdays coming up here. So if you guys are interested, go and check them out. Tell them FTB sent you, and go check out Darian and his next few fights. And Steel Fist Fight Night has their fights coming up on the 19th of this month. Also, we have over 15 hours of content, guys, on fairtheburn.locals.com. Go ahead, head over there, make a free membership, subscribe if you want. You can help me out a little bit. If not, you can still get like over 11, 12 plus hours of content. It's great, fairtheburn.locals.com. But nonetheless, we are going to get into our guest today. Today, I have with me a man who I am pleased to welcome to the show, the 51st episode of the show. He's a man who I've worked with a little bit, who I take great inspiration from his creative mind, but someone who I am in fear that I will never finish a full project with. Please welcome to the show, Levi Gunderson.
Thanks for having me, man. This is kind of like our first project to go all the way through with, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
bro. It's just
yeah,
a one shot, right? So it's like we can just kind of
yeah,
knock
yeah,
this one
yeah,
out of the park one day.
yeah.
Sweet man. So before we get into it, Levi, would you mind kind of introducing yourself to the people who might not know you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Levi Gunderson. I am a filmmaker, video creator. I went to ISU as Chan did as well for theater, film, and video, and tried to get as much out of what they offered with film and everything, which is very little. But it's always been a passion of mine, movies and the process of filmmaking, since I was a little kid, and I've just stuck with it. I am part of a Boise film community that is booming. It's growing, and
Shout out to Chance the
the in
writer.
absolutely
Yeah.
industry standards have absolutely bled into the Boise film community, and we are, I mean, making big moves. We're still very far from anything actually being super impactful coming out of Idaho, but I think we'll get there eventually. You don't got to be straight based in LA to make it these days, and I truly believe that. So yeah, I'm constantly creating, wanting to think creatively and work with people that also have that same mindset. So,
I mean, that's
and I know you're
facts,
one of
dude.
those guys.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's facts, dude. It's like, even though we still are far away, and I mean, you're much more tapped into the kind of filmmaking community than I am, it's like we're still far away from getting somewhere very impactful. But the more that you keep doing stuff, even on a local level, dude, like the stuff that you were doing, even if you compare the prick of a cactus needle, right, to like the plunge, it's
Yeah.
completely different. It's like you
Yeah.
can see the growth and the expansion. We'll get into all those specifics, but uh, because I want this to be about you, I want to know what is your first memory of like falling in love with filmmaking, and because I also want this to be about me, tell me your first memory of me.
Okay. Okay. Um, First memory of filmmaking. I mean, really, I always credit my uncle, my mom's brother. He made a film in college. He went to like a little community college in Portland that had a film class. They made a film. That was like their final project of the year and everything. They had to put together a narrative film. I remember seeing that. That was the first time that I thought like, wow, it is achievable to like
Mm.
enter this world of film. And I was blown away by it. Granted, it's like this, looking back at it, it's this kind of cheesy college film, and it's like, the fake blood, and it's really campy and stuff. But like
Made in the
that,
90s.
yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
90s, the peak of the 90s, 97, piqued my interest so bad though. Like I immediately asked for a tripod and borrowed my parents' camcorder all the time with the little mini DV tapes, and like just was creating like just silly videos with myself. No one else was helping me. I'd set up the camera and press record and um, do these little skits, do claymation, all the types of videos. But it was a passion of mine, just storytelling in general. I would write a lot too as a kid, but yeah, so that was kind of what got me into it. Um, and I'm just glad I stuck with it. Uh, I remember the first time meeting you at ISU. I was a friend of David Jansen,
Fuck you,
and
David.
just following this dude around. Um, I noticed you were with him one day, and right after class, you guys went off through the building that we were in for class, and we're talking about this whole choreographed like fight scene throughout the building. And I was just so interested that I just tagged along and just wanted to see what you guys were talking about. I was like, is this for a movie? What are you guys talking about? And I was in already, because I found these guys that were just talking crazy like me, and I knew I would click well with you too. So
It's about imagination, man.
yeah,
That's Dave. That was all Dave for sure. I mean, I like fight scenes; they're fun, but that's where his mind went all the time. Was just like, how can we make the
right,
dopest fight scene? Uh,
yeah,
I mean, dude, I'll the first time I remember you was this project that you did. I mean, I remember you walking around and being a cool guy, and I was like, that's Levi. He does like video stuff. I remember like the first real like, oh, this is Levi Gunderson was Bones.
mm-hmm.
Was the first
The
Bones,
infamous Bones.
the infamous
Yeah,
Bones. Now in Bones, the script, Bones was a metaphor for cigarettes, correct?
yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah.
guys
Yep.
never specified like in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Can you talk a little? Because was that like your first like big kind of like film with a bunch of people and like you put together, or did you do anything like before that?
I do classify it as like this first project that I actually sat down and went through the full process of like pre-production, writing a script, not starting to film before I had a script, and like um but just like yeah, it was a production in terms of having like a cast and like um a process of getting this film out there. But also it was like my baby in terms of like just kind of learning things, just learning how to direct and edit and everything. But it was born out of complete just drunken dumb ideas with my buddies. And like um we were really high one night, I remember, and my friend Will, who plays the main character in the film, was like, what if we just made a dumbass movie about a guy that gets addicted to smoking cigarettes? And I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And it was so dumb, but like we put a lot of thought into it, and it was our little side gig that we were doing outside of classes at the time. And it was like um yeah, the first time I just had this like shared idea with creatives that wanted to just make something. So it wasn't all just me. So
For sure. I mean, no film is going to be all just you, right? Unless you're nine
right,
years old, setting up a tripod, doing stuff for yourself, right? Like,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah. Is there any special? I mean, there are certain scenes that I could talk about. Is there any special scenes? Because this movie no longer exists online, right? It
Right,
got
right.
taken down. But are there any specific scenes in this movie that you want to shout out? Because I thought it got taken down for a very specific scene. You know what I'm
No, I
saying?
mean, yeah, yeah. I kept that one, and we kept it strong with that scene, even
Yeah,
though
you
I'm
did.
like, but yeah, I mean, it had a ton of copyrighted music. I was just tossing in every song that I wanted in it, and it was like I knew at the time like this could not go anywhere because of that, but also because of like, yeah, there was some edgy stuff in there. I think it was just so overboard with the like comedy slash drama, and we leaned heavy into that.
Yeah.
Like the emotional abuse that my character Tommy puts on him because he's decided to start smoking cigarettes. It's like I am very obsessive over my best friend in the film, and like I don't let him do anything outside of my jurisdiction. So it's yeah, I mean, specific scenes though, I love the scene that you're referring to, and there's a word in there that I am very against using, obviously, but like at the time we just thought it was funny to throw in, um, just to add to the over the top ridiculous nature of the situation.
Because
So
you absolutely never see it coming. You never see it
no,
coming. And
no.
I believe that scene starts with the punching bag scene. Am I right?
Yes,
And the
yes,
punching bag scene is hilarious.
yeah. Just to clarify, I mean, that's me. My character is so full of rage that I have to go downstairs in the film and just take my anger out on a punching bag while I'm talking about my best friend smoking cigarettes. It's ridiculous. I don't
Absolutely
think I'd ever
ridiculous.
make a film that has that niche of like
Mhm.
comedy. That
Yeah.
was like inside joke on top of inside joke. We made it for us for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
So
I mean, have you seen it's not necessarily the same, but have you seen like Matt D'Elia's film American Animal?
yeah,
It
yeah,
reminds me of American Animal to a certain sense. You know what I mean? Where it's
yeah.
just
I can
so
see
over
that.
the top and ridiculous.
Yeah,
Um, funny enough, he also uses the same word in that movie as well.
that's right. That's right.
I want to say it like the black guys. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
now, Levi, you might be the most famous person I've ever met.
Hmm.
Does that shock you? Does that shock you if I say that?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's why.
Because
Here's my reasoning.
yeah,
Number one, both me and you are big fans of the Delias, right?
yeah,
And they have
yeah.
this show called Lifeline. And I don't know if I've ever
Hmm.
talked to you about this,
Oh shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but here I am watching like episode 14 or whatever of Lifeline, and all of a sudden, and this is
Yeah.
like it's an advice show where people like send videos in to the Delia brothers to like ask their advice. It's not real; they're comedians, you know what it is. And all of a sudden, my buddy Levi Gunderson is on the film with his young son talking about how his wife's parents don't want them to raise their son believing in Santa Claus. Now, first of all, how did you feel being on the show? Secondly, how'd you feel about the advice and the fact that Chris didn't even pay attention for the first like 15 seconds you were talking?
Right, right. It was, I mean, for some reason that specific question, I felt like, oh, this is going in the episode. Like
Yeah, for
they're
sure.
gonna respond to this because it's just, I mean, it was very different from what they'd been doing previous episodes, but uh, yeah, I mean, it was like this just dumb fight that we had in the past, and it's like shit, I don't want to fight about Santa Claus, you know.
Yeah,
But it's like
yeah.
it's tied to obvious things that are like, you know, what can we compromise on as parents and all that. So I felt like I had already come to a conclusion with my wife on that sort of thing, and like I'm at peace with it. But
Yeah.
like there was a part of me too that's like I want to know what these guys would think about that situation, and like of course they just went to town on like you know, just the name calling, the oh man, they tore her apart, but it was
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hear it. I thought it was funny. And I think there's a lot of people kind of dealing with a similar situation. Once you become parents, you realize how many things you were raised differently with. You got to figure out a balance between how your parents taught you and how your spouse's parents taught you. So it's like it can get difficult, and it can be kind of messy. So
Well, I can't
yeah.
even imagine having in-laws, dude, and then having a kid on top of in-laws who like my
Yeah.
mom is gonna have things to say about how I raised my kid. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, so I
Mm-hmm.
can't even imagine dealing with like somebody else's parents who you're in love with, and it's, yeah. So, but that's
Yeah.
the first reason is your boy made a feature on Lifeline. My second reason is you have a video online that nearly has 1 million views on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
you want to talk about this video a little bit? I can introduce it.
Sure. Yeah, you're pulling out all the nitty gritty, huh?
I am, dude. I did my research.
All right, so let's see. We were newly married, my wife and I, and she knew that I was into like making videos and stuff, and I had an existing YouTube channel that was just, I mean, the best icebreaker for her to like see all these videos before even like hanging out with me for the first time. So on this channel, we put on a video that we came up with together of like the show My Strange Addiction on TLC. It is TLC, right?
I
I'm
believe
pretty
so.
sure.
Yeah, I believe it's TLC. Yeah.
We created a fake episode of that show, and we played characters that were addicted to dry humping each other. And it's like it's not even like real humping. It's like this weird like dog, like Chihuahua humping. It's so
It doesn't
uncomfortable.
even look real. It doesn't even look
No,
real. Like
no,
when
no,
you guys
no.
are doing it so over the top that it's
Yeah,
so funny and ridiculous.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, but it really, you really guys really started out like it was a real thing on My Strange
yeah,
Addiction. So
yeah.
beautiful.
I
Uh,
had so many people reach out to me asking like if it's real, and I'm like, "Are you 12?"
you see that we're not really even
Yeah,
making contact with each other when we're doing it. Like it's just some. You guys almost look like
right.
Minecraft characters, bro. You look
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Minecraft characters, like
Robotic.
Sims, like just
Yeah,
bumping into each other. Um,
glitching out. Yeah,
Yeah, man, but I like that
yeah,
video to me is still so funny. I remember watching that back in the day too, and I was like, man, this thing has like 300,000 views, which I really don't care about views in general, but like I looked the other day and I was like,
yeah.
man, this thing has like 850,000 views, dude.
It's
Holy
getting up
shit.
there. Oh, and you know what? I did take it down. I feel like there was a point where I was like trying to get jobs. I was trying to share like video work and stuff. It was like early college days. So like I was just kind of skeptical about having that video out there.
Right.
But also like I was one to read the comments. The comments were raunchy that first time around. And like I was actually like sickened by some of the stuff that I was reading. And
Oh
then
no.
I had someone tell me, they're like, don't read the comments. Why are you reading the comments? And so I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So I
Yeah.
re-uploaded it. So it could have been like past 1 million now for sure. But yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I think it's pretty close to there, but I was just it's crazy. I saw it the other day. I was like, man, this is because I've been like I said, I've been doing my research, you know what I mean? I've been trying to pull out the nitty-gritty. Uh
Yeah. Yeah.
between okay, I'm gonna make you pick between two of your films.
Cool.
You can talk about both of them for sure, but between My Dead Friend's Brother
Hmm.
and The Prick of a Cactus Needle, uh I guess which one of those I don't want to say like enjoy more, but like do either one of those stand out as more memorable to you?
Hmm. I always lean towards Prick of a Cactus Needle because um, production quality. I mean, both of those films were me directing, writing, um, editing, doing everything on set. Like I didn't have help back then for both of those films.
Mm.
But Prick of a Cactus Needle was the first time that I actually had external sound being ran. So we had a boom pole. Prior to that, my dead friend's brother, I had a tiny ass shotgun mic on the top of my camera that was like, having audio issues all the time. We were filming outside, so there was wind. It was like a nightmare. And I remember being so stressed about that. now, um, my dead friend's brother has such a special place in my heart because that was the first time I actually felt confident enough to tackle a drama.
Mm.
I was always doing silly stuff and just wasn't taking like stories seriously because I didn't think I could pull it off. But my dead friend's brother was the first time that I was like exploring this like actual fear that I had of like losing a family member to suicide. Um, and I remember having like family asking me like, why are you making this? Why are you doing this? And it was like, well, I haven't like dealt with something as heavy as this. And there's a part of me that's like, art is meant to push boundaries and like just explore ideas and themes and whatnot. So that's what I decided to do. And it was like, it was emotional. I remember being like sad after each set day and like, I don't know, it wasn't like fun. It wasn't fun to go into like a film day. Now I had like obviously my best friend McKeon and my brother Isaac, and we would get like giggly about stuff and like talk about memes and stuff in between takes, but it was like we had to get into this kind of somber tone. So yeah, I remember that being kind of tasking in that regard. But so yeah, Prick of a Cactus Needle was like return to form with a comedy, but it was also like I was taking it seriously this time. I had a planned out schedule. I had um, like an outline and I had storyboards and like all this stuff. And I just felt like I was able to return to form, but I was also on track. Everyone saw that I was serious about this and was not really joking in between takes. Like I was trying to make this film. It was very, very hot because we were out in the middle of the desert, and I was
Yeah.
losing my mind for a little bit because like I'm running camera, I'm looking at this screen with the bright sun, like I'm trying to see if everything's in focus. I got, you know, people like my actors are um, like messing around during takes, and I'm like the one guy trying to keep everything organized and whatnot. It was like 100 degrees, and we did not prepare with like water or anything. So I think a lot
Mm.
of the like insanity in the performances, that's real. Everyone's losing their minds. So um, I really like that one. That was also the first film that I like won an award for, which is like best twist and um, like a best screenplay we won at another festival and stuff. So like that
Where
was the
did
one that introduced me to just like the film community.
where did you uh where did you submit those up? Or where did you get those awards from?
We showed it at the Grand Teton Film Festival. That was, I believe that was in Idaho Falls. It might have been near that area, but prior to that, we did the Idaho Film Family Festival, which is one that they do here in Boise on an annual basis, and that was the first annual one that they had put on, and I put my film in there, and I was like so nervous because I hadn't seen like the gauge, the level of like skill that the community had.
Mm.
So when I had put it in this film festival, I got to like sit down with all these other filmmakers in a theater, meet new people, but also like see what Boise was capable of, and I was blown away. So like entering festivals in Boise has like allowed me to meet so many people, and I've networked, and I've you know, I got a whole crew now of people that I can rely on to like make films, make really solid stuff. So
Yeah, let's go into
it's
that a
been a
little
journey.
bit.
Yeah.
How has that been? Like having going from a place where it's just you and like a few buddies or whoever you can scrounge up to like
Yeah.
people who have also invested, you know, probably like financial gain into things or like, you know, putting their money behind things, their equipment,
Yeah.
coming to help you being a crew, being, you know, just holding a boom mic. Like, what does this whole kind of change and process look like for you?
It was very overwhelming at first to like get into the actual production of a film, of a short film, because The Plunge, which is my current film that's about to come out, was the biggest crew I've ever had. I mean, it was like I went from me, myself, and I to having really everyone for every single task. It was still like a very small crew in terms of film standards and whatnot, but I was just at a place where I could finally step back, direct my actors, and occasionally look at like the frame and make sure I was okay with what the film was looking like. But it's like that was the dream, to finally just be able to focus on my actors. And so I realized like that's what I want from this point forward. I miss the days of just the run and gun, get my camera, I'm behind the camera, just kind of running the show. But at the same time, like I know if I go back to doing something like that, I'm not going to get the same quality out of a finished product. So I'm just going to roll forward. I mean, this is the point where I've always wanted to be, was having a crew and make professional level films. So why step backwards? So yeah, this experience was so amazing. Just getting this crew together. You wrap a film with a crew and you feel like you've gone to war with them, and they're your family by the end of it. So I've gotten very close to these people. I've worked on other sets with them for their films, and it's like we all support each other. And we're starting to get into a place where actual funding is coming in, and we're making films with bigger budgets, and like, yeah, it's moving really fast. And so I'm just excited for the future in terms of what we're creating together. And it also allows me to not write myself into a little box, because I used to write in terms of what can I actually pull off and like
right.
You know, we've gotten to a point where we can actually dream big and achieve it. And if not, it's like, how can we scale back a little bit? But it's like, you know, the goals are bigger these days.
Yeah, man. Like even some of the work that I saw in The Plunge, which I remember seeing on Instagram, you filming that, but I don't remember actually ever seeing if it came out. Has it come out yet?
Not officially.
Okay. Were you doing it for like? Were you doing that for a festival as well?
So this is also the first time that I'm gonna do like the festival circuit, where I'm entering as many festivals as I can and trying to get it just seen all over before I like really just plaster it on YouTube. So
right. Yeah, man, like even some of the work in there, like, you know, not to give too much of it away, but there's like a shot of the side of his truck that has like the name of the business, and then it opens and then it shuts again, and it's The Plunge.
yeah.
Right. And I don't think that like, and I'm sure that you could have done something like that in the past, but like with the level of proficiency that I felt like it, like just the overall film had, you can definitely tell that there's more behind it. There's more buy-in from everybody. And there's just more kind of support around you in general. How was it making that huge guy cry? That guy's so big, man. And that guy broke down.
He's jacked, dude. He's body goals. But that was one of the more like, I'm trying to think of the words. That was one of the like earlier points where I realized like I can get a good performance out of my actors, and like let them just have the scene to breathe and like take their time with. That really, I mean, for that character, for a really like burly, like tough guy character that doesn't show a lot of emotion, I felt like that was such an important scene to get in there for him to just kind of break down a little bit. And that was not in the earlier drafts of the script. And it was like, how can we show a different side of this guy where the
He
audience
needs it,
isn't
man.
just so against him. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
needs that in that moment.
Yeah.
Even though that money ain't going to do a damn thing for him.
Right.
But he
Yeah.
needs it in that moment.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Can you talk a little bit? So, Prick of a Cactus Needle, going back just a little bit, was really where I was like, man, McKean is like pretty good. Like before that, I was like, man, he seems like a goofy guy that just kind of hangs out with Levi, right, and does couch talk,
Right.
talking about getting to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Couch talk back in the day, an original podcast, dude. Honestly,
Yeah.
where you
Before
guys
podcasts, really.
before podcasts, like little 5-minute clips where you got to sit on a couch and kind of cut up little segments where you're being dudes in 2009 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Prick of a Cactus Nose where I was like, man, McKean has a lot of talent in this. And The Plunge, excuse me, is the film. I've always known that Isaac was very good with, especially your soundtracks and whatnot, but I feel like The Plunge, he really excelled.
Yeah.
Can you talk about working with your
Absolutely.
brother, like during, like, because it's been, a decade at this point. You guys have probably been making films and he's been putting music on it.
Yeah. Isaac is my go-to guy. Obviously, we share a very similar creative brain. He knows my style and he knows the sounds I'm looking for and whatnot. But this project was rocky in terms of working with Isaac because I got into the most interesting headspace working on The Plunge. I was very overwhelmed and stressed. Finally having a crew as big as this and like all these people that were supporting my vision. I went into autopilot for the most part when it came to home life, my family, being present. I had to completely like start therapy to like be able to come back to like just being present as I'm dealing with this giant new opportunity that I was getting into. So things at home were, I mean, tough. Trying to be there for my wife and also focus on this film and that kind of went into my relationship with my brother as well. Like his wording was, "You're treating me like an employee, and I don't like it." And it was like, I almost just expected him to be available to do this score rather than like, asking him and like treating him like my brother. So yeah, I was kind of stepping into this version of me that I no longer want to be. And I learned a lot from The Plunge and just how to like juggle life and big projects like that. But so I early on was like kind of not really on talking terms with Isaac and was accepting that I was going to have to move forward with someone else to do music or like even use music from music subscription for video making and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I want to sacrifice that. I don't know if I want to have this music be not my personal flair or whatever, because it's like, I just said like Isaac just knows my brain, and it's a very personal film to me. The story in general is partially a true story of what I dealt with. So I just wanted it to be, as much of me as possible. And so we mended things, and I would go over to his house every Thursday night and we would just listen to sounds. I sent him references from like my favorite movies. I was like, I want this song to sound like this song. And he is just such a fast worker, man. He killed it. I love the score, and it's probably my favorite thing about the film.
Yeah, man. It's beautiful, and it complements it in a way that it doesn't like stick out too much. But if you're looking for it, it's beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know Isaac and I know like the relationship that you guys have had, from afar over the years of him working on the music of a lot of your projects. And so it's something that I almost want to see or want to like
Mm.
be keened in on, right? It's like watching
Yeah.
a Tarantino film and being like, all right, when's this motherfucker gonna show up, right? But
Right.
it's like, when is, these songs, like what are they gonna, how is it gonna enhance? And yeah, I thought it was really beautiful. And that is I don't know what to say about that being a partially true story of the plunge. I'm sorry. I hope that you got the therapy from the movie that you needed.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's such an intricate and difficult balance, right? Of like
Mm.
leveling up and trying to chase some sort of greatness, and not be like losing yourself in the process.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Conor McGregor, the infamous the notorious has a quote where he
Mm.
says, to be great at anything, you got to be lost to it a little bit. You have to be mad to it a
Mm.
little bit. And I question that sometimes because I understand what he means by that, to be great, like Michael and Kobe and Scorsese and Tarantino, and to be great at your
Yeah.
craft. Like, I think you have to be a little lost to it. But what is more important, that or your family? And you being a true family
Yeah.
man now, I feel like, I mean, if you want to speak to that a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that was something I early on. I remember being at ISU and having someone tell me that because I just got married at that point, and he was like, "Yikes! If you're gonna get into filmmaking, that's gonna be tough." And he straight up told me like, "Don't have kids. Don't have kids,
Mm,
or you're not gonna excel. You're not gonna progress from where you're at right now." And starting to plunge, I went back to that in my mind about like, am I at a place right now that I want to be when it comes to growing as a filmmaker? And I had thoughts about like, I wish I had waited a little longer or whatever, but um, I also think about like I am so young still. I'm getting into filmmaking, but I've also started my family really early. So maybe it's like the opposite of other people's situations where like my kids will be grown up and I'll be in my prime to be able to focus on films, I don't know. I I've really just come to appreciate my family. And yeah, I'm a family man. Like they come first. Um, Everything I do is for them. And you just got to find balance, man. That's what it comes down to. I've worked really hard in therapy on finding that and not being selfish. I've never really been a selfish person, but when it comes to those times where I'm so immersed in a project, I can be. So
yeah. Yeah, I feel that, man. I feel it. Let me see here. Levi, what do you think about the universe and like why, like what it means to be a human and why we're here? What do you think all that means?
that's big.
It's huge.
These are late night pillow talk conversations. Um, I was born into a Mormon family, where I felt like the answers were always just there. There were cookie cutter answers that I could get from anyone in the church. And it wasn't until just this past like year and a half that I felt like I was asking questions and I wasn't just accepting. And I wanted to know more about the afterlife. I wanted to know like, why are things the way they are? Why do I have to do these certain things? And like, if I don't do them, am I not gonna like make it to heaven? The idea
Hmm.
of heaven and whatnot. So there was not really a fear there of the unknown and the unanswered, but there was just a conflict, and I wanted to know more, and I still do want to know more. But all I know right now, and what I've come to peace with, my wife and I, is that we do not want religion. We want spirituality and a relationship with God. And that is what is important to us right now. Having this background of growing up in that church, there are things that like I've kept near and dear to my heart, of just basic ways of life that I think are good to kind of live by, just being a good person in general. But the whole religious aspect of things and just accepting is something I don't want to do anymore. And I think that's what's great about our generation. We're asking questions. We are saying no to things that have been going on for so long. And we're just like, why is this still the way it is? So, frankly, this is something I haven't really dove into with my parents yet. And it will be. I know there's early signs of them just wondering, like, why am I not going to church anymore? Why don't I wear my special magic underwear anymore? But it's coming from a place of not just not wanting to do it anymore. It's come down to, I'm looking out for my son. Like, do I really want to raise him in things that I'm not sure about? But also for myself too, I feel this immense like release and freedom since I've just kind of gone on my own path. And I'm still a little afraid of what my parents will think, but I know that they love me, and I know that they will trust what I am doing with my life, and they know I'm a good person. So that's what should matter at the end of the day.
Facts, dude, 100%. Because every religion at the end of the day is going to tell you that you should treat your neighbor as yourself, and do unto others as you would want done to you. So for sure, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to being a good person. What are those, if you wouldn't mind going into a little bit of bigger detail, not that it's the most important thing, but like, what are those like core tenets that you still say that you hold on to?
Like
you said, be a good person, right? But like, what does that entail? Sorry. Yeah.
I've always noticed that the LDS Church has been very big on just acts of service and like looking for opportunities and praying for opportunities to serve and to help people. I did not go on a mission back when I was 18. I remember that rule. It was like, it used to be 19. And then as soon as I turned 18, I remember that rule came out. It's like, oh, they changed it. 18-year-olds can go out and do it. And I was like,
go right now, go right now, go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had all these family members asking me, are you going to go? And I was like, no, I don't want to. Like, and it got very ugly in terms of like, felt like kind of threatening a little bit. People, uncles and family members kind of pushing me to do this thing that I didn't really want to do and was always kind of skeptical about. But I've learned to just kind of look past the mission part of things and just focus on what the Mormon Church has done for natural disasters and donating and helping people over the years. And that is one aspect I want to always stick with. And I want to kind of teach that to my son as well, to just go outside yourself and look to help people. And that's what this world needs too. So
big facts, dude.
Yeah.
So what do you, this is the last thing I'll ask you about this.
Sure.
And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. What do you think about Jesus?
I know he was a man. I I think the overall perception of Jesus has warped a lot over the centuries. But I do believe that he died for our sins, and that is about it. When it comes to what I know about him, I he's always in my prayers. He's how I close out my prayers, and basically, he was our kind of example of sacrifice, and so that's what I'll hold on to is that perception of him, and that's about it.
That's beautiful, man. Even that's all.
Yeah.
If that's all you're holding on to right now, as a Christ-loving man myself, I will agree
Yeah.
that I also think that he died for our sins and rose to show that he is God, or not just to show that he's God, but because death can't hold him.
Right.
And I think that his image has been incredibly warped over the years, and even in the church now. You'll go to 5 different churches today, and they'll tell you about 5 different Jesuses, right? And it's
Right.
not about that to have true relationship with him. You don't need to go to church, I believe.
Yeah.
And let me share this with you real quick too, man, because I think this is a beautiful kind of testament to where you and your wife are kind of at with this. It's James 1:27. It says, "Pure religion is this: it is undefiled before the God." Pure. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this. This is what pure religion is: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
Mm.
In the Bible, it tells you true religion is just visiting the fatherless and the widows, so people who are in need, right, and in affliction, and to remain unstained and unspotted from the world. Like the world, man, even and especially in the entertainment industry, right? There's I don't know what's going on with my camera here, freaking out. But come on, guy.
It's working on it.
Yeah, it's catching up. Yeah, man, I think it's honestly about remaining unspotted and unstained from the things that are in the world, and to help people in their time of need. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me restart this camera real quick, Levi.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know what in the world is happening here. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. You're good.
Okay.
Seems to be.
All right,
better.
dude. Nah,
Maybe.
it wasn't. I'm gonna do like this for the last like 10 minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, man, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Is there
Yeah.
any of those other films that you want to shout out that you kind of been working with people around Boise? I really enjoyed Bert, and I enjoyed Pack Your Bags, Kids.
Oh yeah. So what's funny about that is those were made for a YouTube channel called Story Driven. So Pack Your Bags, Kids, Barry, and Gam Gam Sausage are the 3 films that kind of brought us all together as this super group for film, and it allowed us to figure out how we work with each other and how to get these films put out in a very timely manner. These were written, produced, and edited, put out within a week.
Wow.
That was the initial. Yeah, that was the initial idea for the channel and whatnot. Was like, how can we speed make a film that we have to overcome obstacles and whatnot. And so those first 2 films, we were able to pull that off. Barry, on the other hand, we realized very quickly, I mean, we were shooting on a Red camera. We had so much more talent brought in, and we realized this is a lot more special and needs the time that it deserves to be perfected. So it went from being shot in a week and then being put out 6 months later because it was being worked on. Isaac did the score for those films as well and killed it. But yeah, Barry is a very special one too. We
Yeah,
released
Barry,
it,
not
earlier.
Bert. Sorry, my bad. Not Bert the puppet.
I thought your mic cut out or something. I was like,
yeah, Bear. I said
I know what you're
Bert,
talking
but
about.
yeah, Barry the
Yeah.
puppet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only one I've gotten wrong though, I believe. So that's it's
Bert is also a puppet, so you're
yeah,
good.
that's what I was thinking, dude. I was like, where's Ernie in this bitch?
Yeah.
All right, dude. Before we close out here, Levi, I asked you to think of your 4 favorite movies of all time. I will give you mine first since you are the movie expert. And I'll do my layman's stupid Mount Rushmore first. So my first movie is, I believe, and these aren't like the greatest movies of all time. These are just like movies that mean the most to us. They might be great movies, yada yada. The first one, and this is I think one of the best movies made of all time, is There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis, classic, very slow movie. But some of the best performances and lines I feel like of all time are in that movie. Number 2, my favorite movie of all time, Big Daddy.
Oh shit!
Adam Sandler, classic.
I love Big Daddy.
Dylan and Cole Sprouse, right? Original. Yeah, man. I think that movie has such a special place in my heart. Also because I grew up without my father for the most part. So to like think of like Sonny coming in and taking and like protecting me.
Dude. Definitely.
Number 3 is my dad's favorite movie, actually, funny enough. One of the few things I really enjoyed about remembering hanging out with my dad, Stand By Me. You know this movie from like the 70s? Yeah, classic. In the area with the Sandlot and the Goonies. And then my last one, I was thinking hard about this one because I love a lot of movies. I was thinking Us. I was thinking Benchwarmers. I love both those movies. I was thinking Radio. I love Radio. But I'm gonna go with 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
There you go. That's a great one.
To me, that's top 4.
Beautiful film. I
Martin
think those
McDonagh,
are great.
man. Martin McDonagh is a genius. Yeah, great writer.
Doesn't miss.
Does not miss, dude. Not on Broadway, not on the big screen.
Those are that's a pretty good spectrum of very different films from each other. I love it. Those are great.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Big Daddy is definitely one of my favorites because of the just balance between Adam Sandler yelling comedy and actual heart. I remember crying during that film.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, at the court scene.
Yeah, the court scene, and also even the line, "I wipe my own ass."
Yeah,
that made me cry.
He made you cry.
He's being taken away. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, dude. Adam Sandler, 90s Adam Sandler.
Yeah, back before it went downhill, man. He went downhill and then he made Uncut Gems. And it's like, all right, Adam Sandler, you've been doing better now, but
he's coming back. Yeah.
Pixels was not it, dude. Pixels was not it.
No. I won't even give that one the time of day.
All right, hit me with it.
This is tough, dude. I mean, so I've first of all, okay, let me tell you this. I have rated movies and shows, but mostly movies, 1,293 titles on IMDb. My wife did the calculations the other night of how many hours that is, and I can't even remember, but it made me kind of sit back and be like, I need to maybe go like do something more productive with my life. But at the same time, I'm like, no, that was all for, it was studying.
It's study, man.
Yeah. It's helping me kind of grow as a filmmaker and watch films differently. But yeah, a lot of hours. I don't regret it. My first one would be Prisoners with Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
And Jake Gyllenhaal.
I'm gonna write these down. I don't even know that movie.
Yeah, that is kind of one that flew under the radar. It's a crime thriller, very heavy subject matter, about a case where there's a kidnapping, and it's very dark, but it's beautifully made, and kind of depressing, but very, very well done. Some of the best performances you'll ever see. All right, let's see. It's tough. Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh God, that movie's so good, dude.
That was my favorite of 2019, right next to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was a tough call, but that one was, I've never smiled so much in a movie, just of pure joy. And like, it just felt like nothing was being made like that anymore, where you're just feeling straight, like just love. and there needs to be more really happy, like feel good movies like that, I think. So
there needs to be more movies about pro wrestling, bro, with like a pro wrestling character that just loves it. Yeah, bottom line. And also, I took a girl to the date to that movie. Didn't even think about making a move. Didn't even think about it, dude. The movie's too good.
Yeah. No. Smart. Let's see. I'm looking at all my 10s, rated 10 out of 10.
I just thought you were looking at a list of 1,291 movies now.
I mean, I am. Okay. No Country for Old Men. Coen Brothers. You know what's funny is that was shot simultaneously with There Will Be Blood on the same property. So if you look closely in No Country for Old Men, you can see a plume of smoke in the background because they had just exploded something on the P.T. Anderson set.
Holy shit.
It's crazy. 2007, best two films ever made, just at the same time.
To each other.
It's crazy. Yeah. We'll trivia for you. And then I gotta go Drive with Ryan Gosling. That's one of my favorite, another kind of crime thriller, but that was one of the first like rated R films I had seen. Again, I was raised in a house where I could not watch anything rated R, and I had snuck off and watched this with my girlfriend at the time, and it was, I mean, so polarizing with like the violence, this like hyper violent like head smashing and stuff, and neon colors and super dramatic, like silent Ryan Gosling, and the score, dude, it's got to be one of my favorite like film soundtracks ever. So that one's always been really important to me.
Sweet, man.
So that'll be my top 4.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that you introduced me to 2 new movies I never even heard about. So, I mean, I've heard of Drive. I've never even like seen anything about it.
Yeah.
Sick, man. I mean, do you have anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to shout out? Anybody? You want to give us your socials, your address, your social security number? Anything else you want to say, Levi?
For sure. The Plunge is my proudest accomplishment so far with making a film, and it's coming very soon. It's done. It's been privately shown to the cast and crew. Chan got a chance to see it. Yeah, it's a 23-minute kind of jam-packed film, and we're trying to show it at the Village Cinema in Meridian here pretty soon.
Sick.
Yeah, real proud of it. And then you can follow me at Surefire Productions on Instagram. You can see my video work there. I do lots of small business kind of promotional videos currently, and I'm trying to just build that portfolio right now, and continue doing what I love with holding the camera and telling stories. So
beautiful, man. Well, Levi, thanks so much for doing it, bro. Appreciate you. It's great to see you. Everybody else, keep burning.
I'm feeling separated from all this generation. Follow the leader of the nation without hesitation. They all want meditations, using drugs for medication. My mind is always racing. What the hell are you saying? it. You do. Giving grants out, yeah, like Ulysses. You gonna miss this if you ain't clean. Clean. I'ma wash you like some dishes. My pet is delicious. You is suspicious. Your girls are my bitches, but they are my misses. Wow. And they used to be yours, but you brought that girl in and your letters were bored. Wow. And Eliza didn't like it as much as Hamilton. Wow. And you wanted to pour, but she cut you from